Okay. Hi, everybody.
There he is.
There he is. We got him. We got him. My name is Jane Stevenson, and I've done this event with Bruce in 2014 in Dublin when he was over live. I'm afraid that now we have to do the Zoom thing, but it works quite well because he's in New Zealand and it's 9 o'clock in the morning.
And it's summertime.
And it's summertime. And I've been trying to get Bruce to come back to Dublin for a long time, but we can now do it through Zoom, which is terrific.
Brilliant.
But it's not the same as being there, because I enjoy the humor in this country, and I enjoy all the people, and even my experience in the pubs.
Yes.
Well, we'll try and get as much of that across as we can tonight. We'll get some jokes going. Maybe somebody will raise a pint to you as well, Bruce. We'll see what happens.
We miss the pubs. We miss the bars being open over here, as you can imagine. So just a little bit of an introduction. I think most people who are present here tonight know Bruce and are familiar with his work. His book was The Biology of Belief. I have a copy of it here, but it's been updated many times since 2014, I believe, since I first got it then. And basically Bruce is a scientist and a philosopher, and he's an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit. So scientists might be a bit skeptical of him, but he's got a wonderful...
Let's talk about it later, because I was a scientist who was never spiritual, not by any sense of science, but when I studied the cells and the cells reveal it to me, it changed my entire life, because there's a mechanism of how it works.
Yes, and I think that's what it's wonderful, and it's very inspirational. You are the recipient of the 2009 Goy Peace Award, and you've been a guest speaker on hundreds of TV and radio shows, keynote presenter for national and international conferences. And I know that since we last spoke in 2014, you've gone absolutely stratospheric in your reputation. I think that's the word. So Paul of Positive Life and I are both co-hosting this, and we will ask questions after Bruce has done a brief presentation, Epigenetics and the biology of belief, and then we'll open it up to everybody else. So over to you, Bruce. And Paul, I don't know if you want to say a word or two.
Just a quick thing, folks, as well. We're going to keep everybody on mute because that's just way more efficient. So type your questions into the chat box, and the plan is that we'll get to you guys after about 50 minutes, I think, and then you have about a half an hour to fire your questions at Bruce. So do type them into the chat box. That's all, Jane, and you're all very welcome. We're delighted to have Bruce Lipton in the house.
I am delighted to be here, and so appreciate all of you for showing up, because this is a really interesting time, as you're quite aware. The world seems to be going upside down. It's a lot of chaos all over the place. What's so interesting from a biological point of view is we are exactly in the right place we have to be right now, for a simple reason. Just give you an insight, is that in the history of this planet, there have been 5 what are called mass extinctions. And that means that life was thriving, and then something happened, and up to 90% of life got wiped out 5 times, and then it started all over again. The last one of these extinctions was 66 million years ago, when the dinosaurs were here. And a comet hit near Mexico, a giant comet, and it upended the whole web of life. Dinosaurs disappeared, the lush tropical jungles and forests all disappeared, and we started all over again. Today, science has recognized as a fact, as a fact now, science has recognized that we are now in the 6th mass extinction. And I go, well, they recognize this from a simple fact, is that the planet is losing species of organisms faster than in previous mass extinctions. And so the source of the problem, science, has recognized human behavior is destroying the environment which provides for humans at all. And if the environment collapses, of course, then humans can't be here. So the idea that we're somehow separate from the environment is, well, no, we are an expression of the environment, and we've undermined it with pollution and, taking the resources out of the planet and destroying environments. So humans are creating a mass extinction. Significance is this: how do you stop this? And the answer is human behavior has to profoundly change. The way we're living on this planet and have been living on this planet has been self-destructive. We're just, as I said, upending the entire web of life. So we have to build a new way of living on this planet. And this is where the problem comes from, because the problem is the way we have been living on this planet, the foundation of human culture and civilization, that has to profoundly change, because that's where the problem is. So the point is simple: you cannot build a sustainable world on the foundation we've been running, because that's the cause of the problem. So guess what? You have to take down the old one and build up a new one. A very simple analogy, and it's perfect, is how a caterpillar transforms into a butterfly. A caterpillar is a most voracious organism. Put it on a plant, it'll eat all the leaves off of the plant. But there's a point where the caterpillar stops growing and then puts itself into a cocoon. And inside that cocoon's transformation, and then at some point out comes a butterfly, the lightest touch organism compared to the caterpillar, the most voracious organism. And I say, well, let's give the analogy a little substance here. And I say, all living organisms, such as humans and caterpillars, are made out of cells. The cells are the living entity. The organism, by definition, is a community. So when you see yourself in a mirror, you say, oh, here's Bruce, a living organism. I go, no, Bruce is a community of 50 trillion cells. The cells are the living entity. Bruce is a community of those, but so is Jane a community, and so is Paul a community, and so is Anne-Marie out there, part of a community of 50 trillion cells. And so I go to caterpillar. Let's go back to the story. Billions and billions of cells in the caterpillar. They're like miniature people. They all have jobs. Some are doing digestion, some are moving the caterpillar around, some are part of the nervous system, some are part of the circulatory system. They're doing jobs. And as long as the caterpillar is growing, everybody's growing, the jobs are happening, everybody's happy, robust civilization, economics, everything's great. But when it stops moving and gets ready to go into the cocoon, there's no more jobs. But guess what? There's no more digestion. Well, and the muscle cells that are doing the moving, there's no more moving, and the thing is coming apart. And I go, why is it relevant? It's, well, they're all out of work. I go, that now what? I said, there's a soup of these cells that they used to be working with the caterpillar, and now they're out of work. And I say, within that community, there are what are called imaginal cells, with great name, imaginal cells. They're the ones with a vision of a butterfly. And they're the ones that coordinate the activity of the masses of cells to retrain them, put them into another position to make a butterfly. So I go, so why is it relevant? Human civilization has been a voracious caterpillar. That's where the problem comes from. We've destroyed the environment so much that we're in a sense being forced by the planet. Stop, you can't do this anymore. Jobs are going away, people are losing things, just like in a caterpillar. And I said, then what's happening? I said, well, there's all these people, it's chaos. And then I go, then what? And I said, new vision, a new vision of how to move from where we are into a future, a sustainable, thrivable future. We have to create the butterfly version of our civilization. So we are in the cocoon. And the most important conclusion about that is, you could look at the one coming down, the caterpillar business, and go, oh, my world is falling apart. And I go, that would be very scary. But you could also look at the other way. You can look at we're building something new, and start to participate in the building of something new, because fear is the greatest problem that humans have in regard to maintaining their livelihood and their health. The one that's coming down has to come down. So if you're holding on to the caterpillar version, it's like, no, I'm sorry, this doesn't work anymore. Let go and start to recognize, no, there's a very positive outcome for the chaos that you're experiencing at this time, because the positive outcome is the foundation of creating a sustainable, thrivable future. And so you have a choice. Hold on to the old one coming down, fear, anguish, anxiety. Let go by saying, oh, I know it's coming down, because the purpose is, let's put our effort into the one coming up. And that's where health and vitality is going to be found. So we need to know a couple of things that are important to move from the place where we are right now into that future. And two important things that I'm going to talk about here today is, number one is biologically, who are we? There's a tendency to focus that we are this physical body and all that, but there's more to it than that. There's what we call an energy field in quantum physics. We are the energy field, and we're inside a virtual reality suit, and it's a creative device. This is where we came to create. And the relevance, and we need to know, there's more to us than a physical body. There's an energy field in quantum physics, which has the same definition as spirituality. So quantum physics is revealing that it's the energy who we really are. But secondly, and the one I'll start with, is basically we have been led to believe that we are victims of our genetics. Yeah, oh, cancer gene's going to give me cancer, heart disease genes, I'm going to get heart disease or Alzheimer's. Everybody's looking for.
You've gone mute. Hang on a second. You've gone mute, Bruce.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's okay now. Yeah. Okay. No, you've gone again.
I don't know why. Hold up your hand if you can hear me, Jane.
I can hear you now, but you're fading.
Oh, no, I'm not.
keep talking. Keep talking.
Okay, let's just perceive that it's going to work right now.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay. So we have to recognize this. Genes do not control your life. You control your genes. And I'll get into that right away. My plan is to show some slides to set us up on a foundation that we can then have a discussion from about who we really are and how powerful we are in creating this life. So to do this, I want to share the screen, and I'm going to show some slides, and then we'll come back on again. So let's start with this first slide. This is a fact. This is a fact. And here it is. Quantum physics is the most valid science on planet Earth. There is no science with more factual truth than quantum physics of all the sciences. And I go, so why is it relevant? And here's why it's relevant. Quantum physics said that the world that we've been looking at, that's made out of matter, physical things, and invisible energy, that's an illusion. I know it's going to be hard to believe, but unfortunately, this is the fact for 100 years, that everything is energy. There's no such thing as matter. And you say, what do you mean? I go, well, when they started to take the atom apart, and first they found the little solar system, you know, with the nucleus inside, and then the electrons running around like satellites. And they say, oh, it's small particles. But as they started to look inside and say, what are those small particles made out of? Neutrons, protons, electrons. They took them apart, and guess what? There was nothing material inside. They're energy vortices. They're the equivalent of cyclones or tornadoes of energy. So an atom isn't even made out of matter. It's made out of energy, and so are we. So the relevance about this is that quantum physics recognized a fundamental truth since its founding in 1927. And in that 1927, Max Planck, one of the founders of quantum physics, all matter originates, exists only by virtue of a force. We must assume behind this force the existence of a conscious, intelligent mind. Now, here's the sentence that's so critical. The mind is the matrix of all matter. What does that mean? Quantum physics starts off and says that consciousness is creating this. As we change consciousness, we change this. And all of a sudden, it's like, we used to think we're just passive individuals walking through a world. It's like, no, we are creating this world through our consciousness. A fact of quantum physics, the most valid science on the planet. And I go, so why is it relevant? I said, well, it basically says that we live in an immaterial universe. And now that was Max Planck's story, 1927. This is out of the journal Nature. And Nature is the most prestigious scientific journal on planet Earth. This is the most major scientific journal, Nature. And I go, there was an article called The Mental Universe by a physicist, a quantum physicist from Johns Hopkins University in the States. And I say, well, what's this article conclude with? That's the beautiful part, because I'm going to actually now show you, this is the actual photograph of the last paragraph in the article. And what does it read? The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. I go, what? This is the prime scientific journal, Nature. And the conclusion is what? This is an immaterial, non-physical universe, but it's based on what? Our mental character and our spirituality. And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, that used to be like that, you know, the funny stuff people talk about, metaphysics. And the fact is, no, this is not metaphysics. This is physics. And it basically says that we are creating this with our consciousness. So this becomes important because then consciousness is creating our life experiences. And this is from Einstein, okay? And I go, so why is it relevant? Because the answer is this. So how's that working for us? You are creating this world. Are you creating the one you love, wish, desire, and love to have? Or is the world seeming like it's creating stuff and you're a victim in this world? And the issue is, my God, we are the creators of everything that's being experienced. And I go, why is it relevant? Because we didn't know from our learning, our experience, our current knowledge, that we were even involved other than being victims of what's happening. And it turns out, no, we are manifesting what's happening. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to say, I want to show you the biological point of view of this, because I saw this 50 years ago. And I was at that time teaching about biology to medical students. And we were talking about the fact of the DNA double helix when they founded that in 1953, and everyone goes, oh my God, the secret of life, the genes are the secret of life. And we got this idea from Jim Watson, Francis Crick. In this Me Too generation, I've got to make this correction. The double helix structure wasn't founded by those two guys. It was founded by a woman. Her name is Rosalind Franklin. Nobody even knows who she is, because the old boys scientific club took her research, then took it for themselves, reported on it, and she didn't get any credit at all. But the actual founding of DNA was from a woman, Rosalind Franklin. I want to honor that for her. So I say, so what do we understand about this DNA? Well, number one, we are told that genes control life. I go, yes, that's what genes control this and genes control that. We've been told that, okay? We're also recognizing this, as far as we know, we didn't pick the genes that we came with. But then we look at the character of our life and we say, but maybe I want to change the traits. And I go, well, you can't change the genes. And all of a sudden they say, oh my goodness, I didn't pick them and they determine what I am. I can't change them. And then lastly, and most importantly, we are programmed to believe that genes turn on and off by themselves. And I go, well, what the heck does that mean? I said, well, some people believe then they have a cancer gene and they're walking down the street and all of a sudden the gene said, okay, time for cancer. And then they got cancer. It's like the genes did this to me. And then we are perceiving victim. That is the whole story of what we were teaching. You're a victim. Your heredity controls your life. You have no power over this. And if you got bad genes and history in your family, then you're going to get the same kind of things as well, because you've got the genes. So conventional belief system, you're a victim of your heredity. and that whatever it is, your life is already pre-programmed at the moment you were created in the fertilization process, where the genes of your mother and the father's genes came together and created you. Well, that's what I was teaching. But in the laboratory, I was working on stem cells, and this is over 50 years ago. When I was working on stem cells, there were only a handful of people in the whole world even knew what a stem cell was. And I go, well, what's a stem cell? Well, I just mentioned before that your body is made out of 50 trillion cells. Those are the living entities. Now, a very important fact, every day you lose hundreds of billions of your cells die every day. Just every minute you lose, I forgot, over 3 or 4 million blood cells. Just boom, just like that, 3 or 4 million every minute, gone. I go, so every day we lose hundreds of billions of cells. And I go, well, then how can you stay alive? And the answer is this. Built into your population of cells are what are called stem cells, which are another word for embryonic cell. Do you have stem cells? Well, the answer is, if you're watching this program, the answer, of course you do. Because if you didn't have stem cells, you wouldn't live very long, because every day after losing hundreds of billions, there'd be a point where, gone, but you're still here. So I go, yes, stem cells are embryonic cells in your body. Their function is to replace the dying dead cells that happen every day. So I say, well, it's an embryonic cell. And I say, so I was cloning them. I said, what does it mean? I say, you put one cell in a petri dish by itself. It divides every 10 or 12 hours. So first it's 1, 2, 4, 8, doubling, 16, 32, doubling. And after a week, I've got 30,000 cells in the petri dish. The most important part of this experiment is 30,000 cells are genetically identical because they came from the same parent. So I have 30,000 genetically identical cells. I split them into 3 petri dishes. So all the dishes have genetically identical cells in them. But I change the combination that we call culture medium, which we're going to get into. I say, why is culture medium? Culture medium is a laboratory version of blood. So if I grow human cells, I make culture medium based on what's in human blood. If I'm growing mouse cells, I look at mouse blood and say, I'm going to make a version in the lab to do that. So I create culture medium, the equivalent of human blood, but since I'm doing it in the lab, I can change the chemistry a little bit. So I create 3 different versions of culture medium. That's the environment that the cells live in, the fluid. And I go, okay, I have 3 different versions. I say, so what? So I feed one dish, one version, environment A. Oh, the cells in that dish form muscle. And I say, oh, the second dish, I use a different environment, different culture medium, and the cells form bone. And in the third dish, yet again, different culture medium. And in this case, the cells form fat cells. And it's like, wait a minute, they were all genetically identical. What is it that controlled the fate of the cells? And the answer was not the genes. They all had the same genes. It was the environment that the cells were growing in, that you change the environment and you change the genetic activity of the cells. Well, I was doing this in 1967. By 1990, this is the new science that you probably don't know much about, but it is profoundly important. It's called epigenetics. You go, what does that mean? Epi means above, like skin is called epidermis because it's above a layer called the dermis, so it's above. And so I say, old story, this trait is under genetic control by genes. Now, new story, 100% different story. This trait is under epigenetic control. I go, it sounds the same. I go, no, epi means above. So when I say this is under genetic control, I'm saying the genes control the trait. But when I say this is under epigenetic control, it means control epi above the genes. Epigenetic control above the genes. I go, what's above the genes? Well, the environment. And so the foundation of genetics changes. My genes are not controlled by themselves. They don't turn on and off by themselves. They're controlled by the environment in which I'm living. And then comes the more important part, which we'll get to in a second, but this is the whole important part of this is genes are blueprints. That's what they are to make the building blocks of the body, which are called proteins. So your body, when you look in the mirror, this body is made out of proteins. Yeah, there's 100,000 different proteins. And I go, wow. And I go, so what? And I say, the genes are the blueprints. And you go, so what? And I go, that you just missed is, it's a blueprint. I go, so why is it relevant? I said, go into an architect's office. She's working on a blueprint, and ask her, is your blueprint on or off? And she'll look at you and like, what are you, crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. Exactly. Genes do not control their own behavior. Genes are blueprints. There's an architect that controls those blueprints. And I go, what's that? The mind, consciousness is controlling your genetics. You go, what do you mean? Well, let's move to a different story. I got cells in a plastic dish, which we just talked about. I put growth medium in there, which is my laboratory version of blood. And I say the growth medium is controlling the fate of the cells. But what's really interesting is this. As I mentioned, you are not a single entity. You're a community of 50 trillion cells. You are a skin-covered petri dish. Yes, underneath the skin, 50 trillion cells. And yeah, they have culture medium. I go, oh, guess what? Not just culture medium, they have the original culture medium, blood. I go, so why is that relevant? Well, blood provides nutrition. Yeah. A very key fact at this moment, and most people better start paying attention to this, is because the industrial agriculture that we live on this planet, the alteration of our agriculture by chemicals and sprays and all that, has taken the nutrition out of the food. It's actually pretty bad, most of it. So one of the things is this: when you eat food, you're making culture medium, and you do not want to compromise that, because if I compromise in making the culture medium in the lab, I change something, the cells could die right away, because they live off of this. So why is it relevant? Eat well, eat organic, eat natural, because that was what we created our original blood from, not the chemistry food that we're eating. Okay, number one. But blood also has more than just food. It has new signals. Yeah, there are hormones in here. There are emotional chemicals in here. There are factors that control our biology, our behavior, our physiology. So blood is nutrition and information. And I go, so why is that relevant? I say, where's this information coming from that controls the blood? And the answer is this. This is getting to this really important point, and here it is. Yes, the cells are responding to the environment, fact. But the cells under your skin do not see the environment. They're under the skin. How does my liver know what's going on outside? How does it know how to adjust itself to live in the environment? If the environment's changing outside, how does the liver know? And the answer is, the brain is picking up this information. And that's perception. Is it cold out? Is it warm out? Why? It changes your biology as soon as you pick that information up. And then what does the brain do? It sends signals. And these are like the hormones and the emotional chemicals and all that into the culture medium, the blood. And then that blood with the signals is the culture medium for your cells in your skin-covered dish. And now what do we know? It's the signals that control the genetics. And I say, yeah, but they come from the nervous system, but that's the environment. I go, okay, great. The brain is relaying environment to the inside so that the cells inside could live in harmony with the environment outside. But I left something out of the picture, and that is this. The brain perceives what's going on outside, but the mind does interpretation. I go, what does that mean? I say, two people could be in the exact same environment, have the exact same stimulus of the information coming in, and have two different perceptions of how that world looks to them. One could think, oh, this is the most beautiful place I've ever been. The other one could be, this is scary. I go, well, they're both reading the environment. Ha! I say, what's the difference between them? Both read the environmental signals, but each has a mind that interprets those signals. Each of us is reading the environment, but reading it through experiences, interpretations, of how we see the world. Okay, so I say, so why is it relevant? It's actually the perception as interpreted by your mind that sends the signals to control your genetics. Epigenetics. What's the highest thing in control? Mind. And I go, well, what do you know? That's exactly what the physicist said. Consciousness mentality is controlling your experience. I'm going, in biology, the mind is controlling the chemical composition of the blood. That's the culture medium. And in the laboratory experiments, the culture medium controls the fate of the cells. So your mind is controlling this. And I say, this is where belief comes in, because two people can be looking at the exact same environment and have different interpretations. One believes it's this way, one believes it's this way, and each has a different response. What? Based on belief. It's just what signals you're sending to your cells based on what you believe. You change your belief, you change the chemistry. So I say, here's how it works, very simple. The brain is the chemist, it's making the blood. And in my cartoon, the brain has a flask with the blood culture medium in it. And it's got a pipette and it's feeding the cells in a skin-covered petri dish, the culture medium. And I say, so how's it work? This is how simple it is. If you open your eyes and you see someone you love, the mind goes, oh, love. And the chemistry that comes from love and interpretation includes dopamine for pleasure, oxytocin to bond you with your loved one, vasopressin makes you more attractive to keep your lover there, and growth hormone, which does exactly what it says it does. When you fall in love, you're healthy, you're vital. Oh my God, why? The culture medium not only contains nutrition, now it contains this information, which is what? The translation of love into chemistry. And so when you're in love, your culture medium is vibrant and vital. And that's why people who are in love, they glow. Why? It's the culture medium that's giving them that vitality. Now, in contrast, open your eyes, see something that scares you, you're going to put in a completely different culture medium into biology. The blood has completely different chemistry when it comes to information if you're living in fear than if you're living in love. Stress hormones are released and factors that control the immune system. In fact, fear chemistry shuts off the immune system. The more you're afraid, the less your immune system is functioning. And there's a reason for it. It's not to punish you. The immune system uses a lot of energy. Yep, if you've ever been sick, you can't get out of bed sometimes. It uses so much energy. And I go, so what? I go, if you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger, and let's say you have bacterial infection, where do you want to put the energy? Into running away from the tiger or for curing the bacteria? I go, the heck with the bacteria. If the lion or tiger catches you, the bacteria, that's not a problem anymore. So guess what? Stress hormones shut off the immune system because it uses too much energy when you're in a state of fear where you need to run. And as a result, you suppress the immune system to give more energy to run. And that's a consequence of putting in fear. So I go, so why is it relevant? I say, well, then let's understand the bottom line. There's only a couple more slides. We'll be right out of this. What is the function of the mind? I said, that's the chemist. I go, so what does it do? Well, the function of the mind is to take your perceptions, which are your beliefs, and then create a chemical composition that represents that belief. There's different chemicals for love than there are chemicals for fear. So whatever the picture is, the mind's function is to translate the picture into chemistry that is complementary or coherent with your perceptions and your beliefs. And so all of a sudden I say, yeah, then I say, so why is it relevant? It's what pictures are in your mind that are controlling your genetics and the life you're experiencing. And this is not a new idea. The Buddha for 2,500 years said the exact same fact. What we think, we become. It says, yeah, your thoughts are not just passing through, they're changing the chemistry. And the chemistry is the chemistry of the culture medium, the blood. And so all of a sudden, you start to see that what you are thinking is creating a chemical complement to your thoughts. Are you thinking love or are you thinking fear? You have two different outcomes from those. And then lastly, let's see what we have. Oh, for years I was saying that since I published the book in 2005. And conventional people go, well, that's just a new age kind of stuff. I just want to show you, this is an article from an epigenetic research scientist, University of California, Los Angeles School of Medicine. And this is current. I go, so what does it mean? Well, he was studying about genetics and poverty and all that, but he comes to this conclusion, and this is so important. This is front edge, modern, conventional science. What does he goes? To an extent that immunologists and psychologists rarely appreciate, we are architects of our own experience. Here's the sentence that maybe after since 2005 go, yeah, because he goes on, your subjective experience carries more power than your objective situation. What does that mean? Well, subjective experience, that's belief. This is what I believe. That's subjective. So I put belief. Objective situation is reality. So let's put that in there. Now read the sentence. Your belief carries more power than your reality. And that's exactly what the biology of belief has been all about. And then now all of a sudden, the last, okay, there are 3 slides left, but this is the important part, because I'm talking about the mind is creating the chemistry, which is controlling the genetics and the behavior. I go, the mind, like, oh, there's one mind. I go, that's the failure. There are 2 minds. Conscious mind, which is from the latest evolution of the brain, right behind your forehead, a lobe of brain called prefrontal cortex. And the rest of the brain from there backwards is called the subconscious. Here's the point that people didn't understand. Each mind has a different function, and each mind learns in a different way. And I go, so how does it work? I go, conscious mind is connected to your spirituality, your source, your personal identity. No 2 people have the same conscious mind. The conscious mind is creative, imagination. And with imagination, we can create reality. And that's why humans are different than lower forms. We can envision something and then manifest it. We want to go to the moon? Okay, let's create a rocket. And there we are, we're going to the moon. So I say creative, and I say, so what does it also represent? Your wishes, your desires, your aspirations. Any one of you out there, I say, what do you want from your life? And the answer would be, whatever you come up with came from conscious mind, because that's creative. This is what I would like. This is what I want. This is what I want to be. I say that's coming from conscious mind. It's also positive thinking, and people go, oh, that doesn't work. And I go, well, it does. And to give you the science of positive thinking, it's called placebo effect. That's where the doctor says, I got this drug for your disease. You haven't been able to handle it, but this is the newest, greatest drug. And it's made specifically, and it will handle it. And you take this drug and you get better. You find out the drug was a sugar pill. And then the question is, then what healed you? And the answer was the belief in the sugar pill. That's positive thinking, okay? Now, there's the other part of the brain. It's actually 90% of the brain, and that's called the subconscious. And the subconscious is a machine, just like a recording device, like a video recorder. You see the world, and then whatever you saw can go down and be programmed. So it's a record playback device. The subconscious has programs that you acquired from your life experiences. And you go, so why? And I go, a lot of people think that's where all the evil comes from, subconscious. I go, no, it's a program mechanism. You might have good programs, you might have bad programs. I'll give you a good one. When did you learn how to walk? Before you were 2. Are you still walking? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years later? Yep, good point. Where did you learn how to walk? Where's that program? In the subconscious. You don't have to think about walking. You don't have to say, oh, I'm going to go over there, so I'm going to walk. You want to go over there? Just go over there. Why? The brain will automatically translate into walking. It's got a program. Driving the car, you don't have to think about it after you've been in the car for driving for a long time. You get in the car, you don't think about the details you did on the first day you got in the car, which was like overwhelming. Looking out the windshield, the mirrors, the gauges, the pedals on the floor, all kinds of stuff. Today you get in the car, you put the key and you go. You don't think about it. Automatic. So subconscious is automatic behavior, okay? So it's a habit. Subconscious has habits. Where do you get them from? Some are built-in instincts. Ball comes toward your face, you're going to blink. Habit. Don't have to think about it. But some of them are experiences. Yeah, you learned how to walk. Now that you know how to walk from personal experience of trying it, riding a bike, driving a car, playing an instrument, those are experiences that become habits. And the most important problem comes from this. We also acquire beliefs and habits that we never personally experienced, but we got it through awareness from our parents, studying them, watching how they behave, watching how your siblings behave, watching how the community behaves. That's the video camera subconscious, learning the behavior by watching other people and downloading it. And so these are behaviors you get before age 7. You get them because this is when the subconscious is downloading programs. And I say, how does it download it? By observing other people. So here's the point. Most of the programs in your subconscious did not come from you. They came from observing other people. Number 2, your wishes and desires may not be expressed by all those people you just took the program from. So all of a sudden you realize many of your programs don't support anything that you want, but you got them from other people. I go, so why is this all relevant? And the answer is that basically what we're beginning to recognize is a simple fact. Are you creating, are you creating your life from your conscious wishes and desires? That was the point. Are you creating the life that you really want and have? Or your life doesn't look like what you want, but it's got a lot of stuff going on. I go, here's the problem, and this is all in a nutshell. The conscious mind wishes, desires, aspirations, but it can also think. I say, why is it relevant? Thinking redirects the focus of the conscious mind. When you're looking out at the world, driving the car in the conscious mind, you're observing the world and you're responding. But when you start thinking, guess what? Conscious mind lets go because it answers to thoughts are inside. If I say, tell me what you're doing on Monday, and you don't have it written in front of you right now, you can think about what you did on Monday. But the moment you're thinking, you're not looking out the window, you went inside. And I go, what if I'm driving the car and I have a thought and my conscious mind is now looking inside? I go, don't worry. Subconscious is autopilot. It knows how to drive the car. So when you're thinking, the subconscious takes over. And I say, well, how much of our life is coming from this? As the article said, the secret mind, how your unconscious really shapes your decisions. I go, why? Because if the conscious is thinking, it's not controlling. When the subconscious is in, it's going to play according to whatever program I got. Yeah, but the programs came from other people. And it says here that we are conscious of only about 5%. Another simple fact, only 5% of the day are you creating life based on wishes and desires and what you want. 5%. I go, then if my conscious mind's only controlling 5%, then who's controlling the rest of my life? 95% coming from the program. You got good programs, don't worry about it. You're automatically creating good behavior. But if you got faulty programs, defective programs, or self-sabotaging or limiting programs in that development from the first 7 years of your life, those are the programs that are controlling your life. And that's the unfortunate part. You are controlling your life with programs it's not even yours. You got them from other people. 95% of the day. And the last thing, it's coming to the end of this so we can get into a discussion. And the last thing is very important because I've been telling a story for 30 plus years in my lectures. I'm going to tell it again right now because it's so profoundly important. It goes like this. You have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the exact same behavior as the parent, and you got to tell your friend, you go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad. And I say, back away from Bill. The moment you say that, Bill's going to go, I know he's going to go like, how can you compare me to my dad? I'm nothing like my dad. And most people laugh, and I go, that is the most profound story. For what reason? Everybody else can see that Bill behaves like his dad. Who's the one that doesn't see it? Bill. I say, how come? Explain that. I go, easy. He got the program of behavior from his dad in the first 7 years, when that's when we were downloading behavior by observing others. And I said, when does he play it? He said, well, when he's thinking. Oh, so what does that mean? He said, well, if you're thinking, you're not paying attention to what's going on the outside, you're thinking of what's going on in the inside. So whatever behavior is being played when you're thinking, the conscious mind never saw it. And I go, the conscious mind never saw it. I go, so why is it relevant? Bill, he doesn't see his own behavior 95% of the day. And it's his father's behavior. And he's the one that says, I'm not like my dad. And I go, are you ready for this? People, sit back. Here you go. Get ready. We are all Bill. Every one of us is Bill. Every day we are playing 95% of our behavior and not observing it. And then I go, why is it relevant? The downloaded behavior that we got before age 7 is limiting, self-sabotaging, and disempowering beliefs. And I go, oh, well, that's where the problem comes from, is because, as quantum physics says, and now as biology also says, your consciousness is creating your life experiences. Biology, your consciousness is translated into chemistry, goes into the blood, controls your genetics and your behavior. So the science of quantum physics and the science of epigenetics, same conclusion. And this is not a new understanding. And in fact, what we recognize now, simple fact, only 5% of your life is coming from wishes, desires, and aspirations. That's why you have trouble experiencing what you want. 95% of your life is coming from the program. So you're not controlling your life with your conscious mind, you're controlling it with the program mind. Your life is a printout of your programs. If you're not enjoying the healthiest, happiest, most creative life, don't blame the world. It's because unconsciously your subconscious is sabotaging you, just like Bill. Can't see it, all you see is the result. It's not working the way I want. I go, yeah, but you're still creating it. So just recognize this, that the behaviors that we express didn't come from us. They came from other people. And we've been programmed. The movie The Matrix is not science fiction. The movie The Matrix is a documentary. All of us have been programmed. Yeah. And it's not something new. This is from 400 years. The Jesuits have said to their followers, give me a child for the first 7 years and I'll give you the man. I go, what does that mean? Exactly what we just said. The first 7 years is programming, whatever programs come in there, then 95% of the rest of your life is the playing of those programs. So if you give a person the first 7 years to teach a child, whatever went in that teaching now controls the rest of the life of that child. And this is where it becomes so important for us to recognize we've been programmed. And that program is controlling our behavior, our genetics, our life experiences. The program comes from the mind. And I say, so why is it relevant? And the answer is profoundly simple. And the answer is this: change your mind and you change your biology. You change your genetics. You change your behavior and you can control this. But if you never knew that your mind was even involved, then where are you? Like Bill, I'm a victim of things. It just happened. And I go, no, it didn't just happen. We are powerful. And the problem that most people have is, well, what the hell were the programs? I say, that's where the problem comes from now, because most of the program, it started last trimester before you were born. You were still in utero when the programming started, all the way up through age 7. So I say, so what program did you get when you were 0? I don't know. What program did you get when you were 1? I don't know. What program did you get when you were 2? I don't know. And so I'm going to help you right now, and then we'll get into the discussion. And the helping last part here is simply this: 95% of your life is coming from the program. Your life is a printout of your program. The things that you like that come into your life, they come in because you have programs to acknowledge them. And the most important point, the things that you want, wish for, desire, but you have to work hard, put a lot of effort, put, sweat over, I'm going to make this happen. Why you're working so hard? The answer is those things that you wish for and desire, you're not getting them, not because you can't have them. You're not getting them because the programming that you got in that first 7-year period doesn't acknowledge that. And then you're going to try to use the 5% conscious mind to take control and say, no, I want this. I go, yeah, but it's only working 5% of the time. 95% of the time, you're invisibly sabotaging yourself. And when you own this, know it, you can rewrite those programs. And if you rewrite those programs and put in the wishes and desires into your subconscious mind, then here's the beautiful part. 95% of the day, without you even thinking about it, you will be creating wishes and desires. Right now you're creating, but it may not be wishes and desires that you're experiencing. So the bottom line conclusion after all these slides is simply this: quantum physics is right. Consciousness is creating our life experience. Consciousness in the biological realm is controlling our genetics, epigenetics, and our behavior. So changing consciousness is what the mission statement is. And civilization is caught in the middle of what? Changing consciousness. Because the consciousness that we have been using, as well as on an individual level, but on a global level, has been essentially self-destructive. And now it's time for us to take our power back. Thank you for the opportunity to present those slides, Jane, Paul. I appreciate it. Now, let the grilling begin.
Just before Paul asks a few questions, we've got a couple of questions here. How do we change the programming, and how do we access more of our conscious to take control?
Okay. The movie The Matrix, I said, is not science fiction, it's documentary. And I said, everybody got programmed. And then they said, oh, there was a red pill and they got out of the program. I go, most everybody out there has taken that red pill at one point in their life, profoundly changed their whole life, but then it disappeared again. I go, what was it? And here it is. Science has recognized that falling in love is the equivalent of taking the red pill. I go, what do you mean? I go, your life could be blah, 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 blah. You meet somebody, and 24 hours later, oh, life is so beautiful. It's so heaven on earth. I'm so in love. The food is great. The music's great. Oh, everything is so wonderful. Even the crappy job is okay. I go, wait a minute. Your life was blah, 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 blah. And then in 24 hours, your life turned to heaven on earth? I go, it was always there. But what was different was this: 95% of your life, subconscious, 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 fall in love. You stop thinking. You stay present. It's called staying mindful. Instead of thinking, this person just came into your life. Why would you think? You'd be here now to enjoy. This person's in my life. And then you would be creating and enjoying and experiencing the aspirations, wishes, and desires. When two people fall in love, they're living with conscious minds. They've never even played the subconscious programs where all the crap is. And I go, that's why the honeymoon later ends. The honeymoon begins because you stop playing the programs. And I say, now what are you living off of? Conscious wishes and desires. I said, what did you manifest when you were living on conscious wishes and desires? Heaven on earth. And I go, then how come it doesn't last? I go, well, the reason you're experiencing this, you're not thinking. But at some point you have a job, you have responsibilities, you have chores, you have things you got to do, and all of a sudden you start thinking. I go, then what happens? I say, the program that's coming out now is not you anymore. The program is your parent, your family. And I go, so why is it relevant? I said, when you fell in love, the two people never played those programs. They played wishes and desires and created heaven. But once they start thinking and the program comes out, they're like Bill. They just played a program from their family, but like Bill, they didn't see it, but the partner saw it. Oh, that's when the loving relationship starts to change with little arguments about what kind of behavior is that, or who are you? Where did that come from? And like Bill, I didn't see it. Why? Because like Bill, if we are thinking, whatever's coming out is not observed by us. So the result is, guess what happens to the honeymoon? It was first created with two conscious minds, wishes and desires. But later, the subconscious mind kicks in. And that's got all the crappy programs. And that takes the beautiful edge off the honeymoon and turns it back into regular life again. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, it's regular life. I go, you could always have the honeymoon, just stay present, but that's very difficult. Okay. So, geez, I'm talking real long,
No,
but
it's great. Paul, do you have some questions?
Well, actually, let's follow on directly from that, Bruce. One of the tools that you mentioned, because this question is coming up a lot here from people, to reprogram this situation that we have, these patterns. You talk a lot about Psych-K. Would you recommend Psych-K as one of the main tools to reprogram yourself?
Psych-K is also is one of a number of what are called energy psychology modalities. There's a whole bunch of them. I use Psych-K because for me, that's the simplest, fastest, and easiest one to use for me. Changed my entire life. As you know, Paul, I wrote a book called The Honeymoon Effect. Here's a guy who couldn't have a good relationship. 40 years of my life trying to have a relationship, screwing it up all the time, until I started to recognize, wait, this invisible behavior is sabotaging me. And then I have my wonderful partner, Margaret, and I go, why is that important? Because she also knows about the invisible subconscious versus the conscious, where the wishes and desires are the subconscious. When something would come up in our relationship that obviously wasn't coming from the conscious mind, but was coming from the subconscious mind, she would go, Bruce, do you really mean that? Or, you know, what you just said, did you understand? Did you hear what you just said? We have a discussion. If it was a conventional couple, and I come up and said any of the stuff that I got programmed from my father, and a regular couple, my partner would look at me and go, what kind of behavior is that? And of course, that leads to an argument and all kinds of stuff. And then the edge of the honeymoon disappears. But if you know that the behavior that wasn't supportive didn't come from the wishes and desires, spirit, conscious mind, but it came from a program. And all of a sudden it says, well, wait, let's change the program. And then by correcting the program, by changing the negative ones that come up, every time a negative one would come up, we could change it, then guess what? There's a point where there are no more negative ones. And I go, then what? I go, then the honeymoon doesn't end. The honeymoon is the rest of your life because you didn't compromise it. I've been in a honeymoon with Margaret 22 years. Wake up every day, just like in love from day one. It's a completely different life than I had for 40 years. I've been now 20 plus years with Margaret. And why? Because we each understood the nature of the program. And when it showed up, instead of shocking us, it was like, oh, did you know that you just played that? No, you didn't. Oh, you didn't hear what you really were saying. And that gives you an opportunity then to rewrite it. Energy psychology is one version of rewriting, okay? Very effective. Let me just very quickly say my website, simple, brucelipton.com. There are on their resources, 20 different energy psychology modalities that you could select from, the one that you think might be best. But then I'll just add, there are two other natural ways to change subconscious because this is the way it learned. One of them is hypnosis. And I go, do you have to see a hypnotherapist? I go, no, because the brain state of hypnosis is called theta. It's a brain vibration. When the person reads the brain by electrical readout, electroencephalograph, EEG, there's a vibration. Theta is below consciousness, but it's also record. It's theta record for subconscious. So I say, why is it relevant? Every night when you go to bed, consciousness, which is a higher vibration, at the moment you fall asleep, the vibration of the brain drops into theta, which is hypnosis. So if you put earphones on at night, as you go to bed, you might hear one of those self-help programs, that things you want, health, wealth, relationship. You put that program on, you go to bed. While you're still awake, you might hear some of the recording, but the moment you fall asleep, guess what? The recording is still playing, but now it's going straight into the subconscious because that's where theta is. Okay, so that's the first way we learn programs. First 7 years, brain was in theta. Second way we learn programs is, look, after 7 years, after 7 years, you still learn programs. I say, how'd you learn something after you were age 7? I go, habituation, repeat, pattern, repeat something over and over again. You want to play an instrument? You got to practice and practice and practice. And boom, one day you play the instrument without practicing anymore. Now it's a program. Riding a bicycle, just like walking, practice, practice, practice. And once you got it down, you don't have to, it's now a program. So first way is hypnosis. Second natural thing is practice something and repeat it as an exercise. A sticky note on the refrigerator is not an exercise, it's a suggestion. An exercise is a repetitive pattern. The new agey story, which I always laugh at because it's kind of humorous, is it's called fake it till you make it. Meaning what? You're not a happy person. Every day you're not happy. I said, guess what? Repeat every day, I am happy, I am happy, I'm happy. It's repetition, making a habit. It's how you learn to do anything after age 7. So I say, so all day long, whenever you can remember, you say, I am happy, I am happy. And then guess what? One day you wake up and you already started happy without even knowing why, because now it's a program and happiness is a way of life. So 3 ways to reprogram: A, hypnosis, self-hypnosis, earphones on at night. B, repetition, habituation, repeat something or create a behavior that's repetition that you want. The more you repeat it, the more likely then it becomes a program. And lastly, the easiest and fastest way, energy psychology, which is like a super learning thing. So you can download new behaviors in minutes. So those are the 3 ways of changing programs. I say, what do you know what the program is? Look at your life. Your life is a printout of your program. The wonderful things that come, don't worry about them. There's a program for that. The things you wish for and desire, but not manifesting, that's a negative program. And you can turn that around, make it a positive program. And then all of a sudden you start creating from wishes and desires. And a honeymoon is a way of life for as long as you live on the planet.
We had a question, Bruce. How do we make sure that the child gets good programming in the first 7 years?
Now that's a hard part. I'm going to tell you why. Because that would be called conscious parenting. And I say, what does that mean? I say, and this is real, and this is true. You hug and love your child. First level of contentment in a child is being held in security because it means they're safe. Okay, and they need to have safety in their lives because otherwise they depend on the parent, but they're not capable of taking care of themselves. It's the parent. If the parent is upset, angry, and does all that stuff, the child feels very insecure. So holding and loving the child, number 1. Number 2, continuously tell the child the most important things. You're the smartest, you're the most beautiful, you're wonderful, you can do anything, you're powerful. Why? Because that becomes, okay, that's automatic behavior for a child after age 7. I am powerful, I am creator, I am love, all these things. So this is the important part. So that holding a child, and that's called, there's a term called somatosensory affection. And that means somato, body, sensing. The body senses affection. It knows a loving touch from a slap or a pain or any other thing. Okay, so the child gets security, and then what are the programs that are going to be downloaded? I am smart, I am powerful, I am a creator, I can do this, I can do that. And guess what? That's automatic behavior for the rest of the life of that child. Okay, now where's the problem? And here's where the problem is. To be a conscious parent, you have to be conscious. I go, yeah. I go, how much of the day are we conscious? About 5%. I go, well, 5% of the time I remember, oh yeah, I'm being a conscious parent. I'm going to be saying all the wonderful things for my child. And then I go, yeah, 95% of the day, you're going to play the same program you got from your parents. That's how it's propagated. Simple fact. Listen to this. There's no such thing as a gene that causes cancer. There is no gene that causes cancer. Genes are correlated with cancer, but they don't cause it. I'll give a big example. Most women are afraid of getting the breast cancer gene, BRCA gene. I go, "Oh, yeah, because that gene means I'm predisposed to have the cancer." I say, predisposed, does that mean you're going to have the cancer? And the answer is no. 50% of the women that carry the BRCA gene never get the cancer. Having the gene didn't give the cancer. A cancer is an expression of disharmony in your life. It's a self-destruction. And so why is it relevant? They followed the fate of children adopted into families where cancer was running in the family. Point, the adopted child gets the same family cancer with the same probability as any of the natural siblings, and yet the adopted child, completely different genetics. What's the point? Cancer is a behavioral consequence of disharmony in the system. And the fact is, you can kill all the cancer cells you want, but if you don't change the disharmony in the system, cancer comes back. It's those people that get a diagnosis of cancer say, oh, my life is so out of order. My life is out of order. Now, my cells are stupid. It's my life that's out of order. Those are the ones that can, have the cancer go into remission and never come back again, okay? Because they start to recognize, oh, it's me. And I go, yes, it's you. But you got downloaded with these things before you were even conscious. So that's the invisible behavior that Bill is operating by, that all of us are operating by. And so all of a sudden, stop blaming the genes. The cancer is a creation. And its presence or its absence is based on what consciousness is happening up here.
Paul, do you want to go ahead? Yeah.
Yeah, I have one here actually, Bruce. So I reread the book recently, Biology of Belief, classic book. Everybody loves it here, I'm sure, on the call. The placebo is something that really fascinated me. And I was wondering, can we use the placebo in modern medicine? What would it look like if we were to use the placebo to our advantage? How could we?
Paul, the greatest surprise is this. They've actually been giving patients something, saying, here's a placebo. And they give it to them, and guess what? It still works. Even that's the amazing thing. It's like, well, if I know it's a placebo, it won't work. It's like, no, people given placebos actually get healed. It's part of the way we live in our lives. So it's an amazing thing. And why is it relevant? I'll give you the most important reason. There are no side effects from placebos. Pharmaceutical drugs have a litany of side effects of everything. Placebo, no side effects.
Bruce, do you feel if somebody is getting a vaccine, for example, at the moment, and they feel that that vaccine is the best thing in the world for them right now, that's what's going to happen?
That it's most important that they get it. That's the first thing is this. If you believe the vaccine is what's going to work and you don't get the vaccine, then automatically your conscience is going to go, oh my God, I didn't get it. That's a belief system. And that's a belief system that says that if I got it, I would be okay. But if I didn't get it, then I won't be okay. And I go, whether the vaccine was working or not, it was the consciousness of that person that took the vaccine, whether they thought this is the cure, this is the thing, I totally believe in it, then it has a much more beneficial effect. It's, again, adding that placebo, which is between 1/3 and 2/3 of all medical healings, including drugs and surgery, are all the results, the healing results are due to placebo effect. Minimum 1/3 up to 2/3 of all medical intervention is placebo effect.
Bruce, we had a quick chat before we came on air to everybody else about the vaccine, and I was quite interested to hear your view on the vaccines that are available right now.
Okay.
Just quickly, sorry.
I teach an immunology course at a college here in New Zealand, so it's not like an off-brand for me, okay? That the immunological system is really important to understand how it works, okay? And the significance is that an immunization can create a problem, a big problem. Is some people get what's called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a neurological defect. And I go, these are side effects from doing this. And I go, well, what about these new vaccines? Well, I say the first word, new vaccines, is because these, like what are called mRNA, these are nucleic acids with instructions on how to make the virus particles. And they put it into another virus that infects our cells, and then our cells display the proteins from the virus, and that's what causes the immune system to make a response, okay? I go, they've tested it over a short period of time, but they've never tested it in a long consequence. But they say, oh, it's emergency, let's just do it now because it works for a short period of time. What about long period? Well, we don't know. I go, I'll give you a great example where this went crazy. It's like, let's have nuclear energy and we'll have a nuclear reactor. And right now we've got all this power. And I go, and what is the consequence of the nuclear waste? I go, well, talk to the people in Fukushima, talk to the people in Chernobyl. The nuclear waste became a bigger problem. It destroyed everything. I go, oh, but you didn't think about that on day one. Nope, on day one, the damn thing was great. And I go, I'm concerned. And AstraZeneca in Europe is now being, questioned because it causes an autoimmune response that can cause brain clots, blood clots in the brain. And of course, that side effect is a neurological disorder nobody wants, but that's a side effect, okay? The mRNA ones, Pfizer, Moderna, these are experiments, man. They're putting these are viruses that are going into your cells carrying this information. And I get very concerned. I say, I don't trust that at all. So let me tell you what the real vaccination system in the human body is, because we've been creating antibodies and protecting ourselves with immune system for several 100,000 years before medical schools got here. Like, how do we handle these things 100,000 years ago? And the answer was this: the tonsils in the throat are the natural vaccination mechanism. This is why infants will stick everything into their mouth, because they're learning about the environment. Everything that comes in is being understood by the tonsils. And the relevance about all this is that the tonsils are the creators of the immune response. So we have a natural vaccination system, and that is oral presentation. If you take a needle and inject something under the skin, completely bypasses the intelligence of the system. So first of all, jabs, vaccines with needles, bypasses the normal system, and that's why there are side effects to it, okay? But if I had to, and of course they're making us have to, because now they have vaccine passports and stuff like that. I can't get on a plane unless I got my vaccine, see right here. And I go, geez, they're gonna make me do that. So if I have to take one, the one I realize is the one that I would take, because it's the old-fashioned way. You take a virus, you kill it, you break it up, and you stick it in and let the immune system directly work on it. Novavax is that one. That's the classic version of it. And it's not a virus that takes something and puts something inside my cell. I don't want them to put stuff inside my cells. I'll let my system take care of it. So Novavax is the one if I had to. But then the other idea is this: people have misunderstood the relationship. Is the problem the virulence of the virus? Is the virus that strong and lethal? Or is it the weakness of the patient? That's what we've left out. And it comes down to this, that the virus, 80% or more of the people that have been infected had minor experiences that did not require going to a doctor and did not require going to a hospital, over 80%. So I said, well, then who are the ones that are getting sick? I go, people who are compromised in their health. Now, if you are compromised in your health, you must take every situation into consideration of how am I going to protect myself? I say, yeah, I'll give you a fact which is so not wonderful, but here's a fact in the US. 40% of Americans have what the number is 2.7 comorbidities. Comorbidities are things that challenge the immune system before you even get an infection. Things that challenge the immune system, obesity, diabetes type 2, okay? Stress, other stress-related illnesses challenge this. And I go, so why is it important? 40% of Americans have close to 3 comorbidities that are zapping the immune system even before a COVID virus shows up. And therefore, when they get the COVID virus, they're already weakened. And I said, well, yeah, those are the ones that have to take care of themselves very carefully. The rest of us should get the damn COVID if we're okay, not, no comorbidity. Why? Because the natural infection creates the most natural form of immunity, not the created immunity of sticking something in your body from outside. The immune system is so intelligent. That's why we're still here after 1 million years. And all of a sudden it says, who's behind this? Personal opinion. Let's put this on. I wish you put it in a box. Bruce's personal opinion coming right here. Ready? The pharmaceutical industry. It's not your friend. Everyone thinks, oh, the pharmaceutical industry is going to save me. I say, no, it's going to make a lot of money. Everyone says, oh, I got the shot. It didn't cost anything. I said, what do you mean it didn't cost something? Somebody's paying $1 trillion for these vaccines, and the companies are making them. And now guess what they're talking about? After the immediate COVID thing is, they say it's not a pandemic, it's an endemic. It's going to be part of our world. And they said, and they're already talking about what? Raising the price of the vaccine. They're already, that's the next step, raise the price of the vaccine. It's like, what do you mean raise the price? Are they, and I got to be very clear about this. Pharmaceutical companies are corporations. Yes. By law, what is the major number one function of a corporation? By law, make a profit for the shareholders. That's the law. So I make a product for the people, but as long as that product makes a profit, then the shareholders are happy. The vaccines are troublemaking. Not now they're saying, oh, you get the vaccine, it may not protect you. You may have to get another vaccine, and all this is going on. It's like, my God, this is a manipulation. This is a money deal for a pharmaceutical company. People think they're my friend. I say, no, if you're a shareholder, then the pharmaceutical company is your friend. If you're not a shareholder, you're a customer, and you will pay for it. And we are paying for it. And I say, is the product they're making that good? I go, nah, not that good. Immune system can do better than that. And so I have a personal opinion about that, but that's based on a fact. I've been in this business. I've been in the bio research since 1960s. And I've known of the pharmaceutical intrusion into medical school. I taught medical school for 20 plus years. That it's the money of the pharmaceutical industry that shapes the practice of medicine. And the pharmaceutical industry is a profit industry. It didn't give you anything. They sold you something. Are they doing this to make a profit? And the answer is, yeah, of course they are. Do they know that some of their things are lethal and drugs with side effects that can die? And they go, yeah, well, we told people, so we're not worried. And I go, I've talked with pharmaceutical people. Actually, one of my friends in Ireland was in a big pharmaceutical company and doing research. And basically it turned out was this, is that they didn't want to heal people because he came up with research that could have a profound effect on one of the diseases. And when he brought it to his higher ups, they said, great, they took it, and then it disappeared. And the simple reason is this: if you cure people, there's no business for the pharmaceutical industry. Think about it. If the pharmaceutical company cured you, they'd be out of business next week. And so that's not the intention. I want people to be healthy. And that's always funny because when they talk about this COVID stuff, well, do this, do this, do this, do this. And at the very end, they say, well, and you're not healthy. And I go, well, why don't you put not healthy right up in the front? Because if people were healthy, they'd be part of the 80+% of the population that are healthy, that got the COVID, and it was so minor. And yet, guess what? They walk away with a better immune system than anyone who receives a vaccination. So health should be what we would be selling. And that's always at the end of the line. I go, what do you mean the end of the line? If you're healthy, then the rest of the problem doesn't occur. But they're not pushing health, they're pushing vaccine.
Okay, Paul, over to you.
Okay. So, Bruce, one thing I want to ask about as well that the book prompted was, obviously there's a lot of talk about, there's a lot of fear on the planet right now. There's a lot of talk about death. There's a concept in the book, Biology of Belief, biocentrism, that there's no such thing as death. Can you expand on that for us?
Well, first of all, who are we and where are we? And you say, well, I'm this, here's Bruce, you're watching this guy on television, Bruce is right here. And I go, well, Bruce is not right here. Bruce is here, and he's actually everywhere, but you can't see him. I go, what do you mean? Start with a very important fact. I cannot exchange my cells and organs with you, and you cannot exchange your cells and organs with anybody else. I say, why not? Because if I put, let's say, a kidney into your body, your immune system is going to go, this is not self, and will remove it and kill it and take it away. And I go, what does that mean? I say, the cells of your body know themselves and they can distinguish it from the cells of another body. So I say, wait, no two bodies have the same identity to it. I go, no, that's why you just can't exchange parts with each other. You want to put a kidney in somebody, you have to shut off their immune system. Guess what? Guess what they use to shut off your immune system if you're receiving a transplant? Stress hormones. That's what shuts off the immune system. So they give the patient stress hormones before they give them the transplant. So I go, so why is this relevant? First thing is this. How do my cells know if another cell in the body that I got from you is not the same? Because each of our cells has an identity marker. And I said, what is it? And I said, on the surface of our cells are proteins like television antennas that stick off the surface. And I say, these are called, this group called self receptors. Self receptors. I go, what does that mean? Well, they originally thought it was these antennas, these protein antennas that made you and me different because I have a different set than you. No two people have the same set. It's like a combination lock. I go, no, but they didn't understand. Self receptors are antennas. They receive a signal. I go, why is it relevant? No two people receive the same signal on their self receptors. I go, so the self is physically recognized as these antennas, but the antennas are a receiver of a signal from the environment. And I say, so why is it relevant? I say, the body is like a television set. My cells have the antennas on it to play the Bruce show. So you're watching my body, I'm playing a show. And I say, where'd the show come from? I say, it's being picked up by my antennas on my cells. I go, so why is it relevant? I go, the analogy of the TV, you're watching a TV and it breaks, TV is dead. Question, is the broadcast still there? I said, how would you know? I said, we get another TV, plug it in, tune it to the station, and the show is back on again. I go, yep. When you're physical TV, you're looking at the Bruce show on the Bruce TV. If the Bruce TV is dead, the TV's gone, but the broadcast is still there. And I say, why? If an embryo shows up in the future with the same set of antennas, I'm back in a different TV. I go, what does that mean? I said, does it make a difference if it's a male or television set? Nope, that's the TV playing the show. Does it make a difference if the TV is black, white, brown, yellow, red? Nope, that's the TV. You are not the TV. You are the broadcast being picked up by the TV. And the relevance is what? You are an integral element of the environment. We are elements of the environment. We are created by the environment. And therefore, if you focus on humans being the belief system here to dominate and control nature, that's actually the mission statement of science, that we're here to dominate and control nature. Are you kidding me? We're a piece of nature. We're an animal in, in this big petting zoo. We're an animal. We are nature. How the heck can we dominate and control nature? That's an illusion that has caused what? The sixth mass extinction of life. Oh, we're so smart. We've destroyed the environment that created us. And now we're going extinct. So the simple reality is we have to recognize we are an element of a garden. A garden is not a battleground. A Garden of Eden, a garden is the height of cooperation. And I'm going, and how are we doing in the garden that created us? We are the virus. We are the destructor of the garden. And guess what? Mother Nature knows we're the pathology. And so Mother Nature is on the path of going, who needs humans in the garden? They're destroying the garden. So guess what? Humans are going to be disappearing unless we learn to live in harmony with the garden. Biocentrism. We are an element of the garden, and we should be supporting the garden, not terrorizing it the way we have.
Bruce, I've had a few questions. We've had a few questions about autoimmune diseases like chronic fatigue syndrome.
Yes.
Can they be reversed, can they be reprogrammed or reversed?
100%. 100%. Because autoimmune is translated as self-destructive. Any disease that we put into our body that destroys ourself, autoimmune, is a consequence of a consciousness that is self-destructive. And you're manifesting an expression of it. That's to go back to the understanding. Consciousness is creating this world. So what we see in the physical world is a construct from our consciousness. If you see your body is having an autoimmune disease, stop looking outside. The answer wasn't outside. It was something up here that was disharmony in programming, and the disharmony is manifesting as an expression. Yes, you can change all these. Chronic fatigue syndrome is a big one. I'll tell you why it's a big problem. Very simple. Let's say there's a track, a high school like track team where they run around the track and they race. And I say, what's happening at the starting line? I say, the athletes are shaking themselves loose, getting ready for the big race. And then the guy with the gun is going to start the race, has 3 commands. He says, on your mark. So the athletes get down in the getting start position. And they're getting ready. They're still a little bit loose. And then he says, on your mark, get set. And I say, what happens with get set? And I say, they're on their fingers. They're on their toes. They're ready to go. The system is ready to go. And then you say, go, and then boom, you take off. Now, here's the issue. I don't care how well an athlete you are in your training and your biology. I could say, on your mark, and you get loose, you're getting ready. Then I say, get set, and you get tension, ready to what? Jump, run, go. And I go, what if I hold back on go? I say, get set. And then I don't say go. Guess what will happen in a few moments? No matter how well trained that athlete is, he's going to collapse at the starting gate. Why? You cannot hold, get set. That's the muscles that are like straining, ready to go. But if you have no go, that strain will destroy the system. Chronic fatigue is something is preventing a person from going. They're set, whether set to run away from something or set to run to something. I go, but they don't get the go. They don't get the let's do it. But they're holding themselves, whether it's in fear, which is where most of it comes from. They're holding themselves in that. And I go, you can't hold that. Even the best trained athlete cannot hold that. I say it's a strain on the muscles. It's a strain on the connective tissue because it's ready to go, but it's not going. And I go, chronic fatigue syndrome stresses the entire muscular skeletal system, waiting for the go that doesn't come. And that means somewhere in the conscious mind, there's something that is a destination that is not being allowed to express itself. And I say, so chronic fatigue syndrome, oh, give me drugs. I say, no, it's not the damn drugs from the outside. It's the drugs that are created by the brain and the consciousness of that brain. And then in most cases, chronic fatigue is due to the fact that there are stresses on you can't respond to. And so you're set to respond, but you're not allowed to respond to it. You can't respond to it. You can't get there. And you're holding yourself and get set. And I go, yeah, everything is rigid, stressed, holding tight, ready to go, but can't go. And that will strain the entire system and express itself as chronic fatigue.
Okay, Paul? Paul, do you want to pick it up? He's gone.
I was on mute there. Sorry about that. Sorry. I was listening to Bruce intently. Bruce, about the cells, okay, back to the cells.
Yes.
What I wanted to ask was, there's a quote in the book where it says that the cell is a translator of perception. So I'm perceiving my reality, and then the cell is reacting to my perception and translating that into good health or not good health, depending on how that all works out. How can we as humans make the most positive impact on our cells? What can we do?
The most important thing is we have to get out of the fear that is being propagated. There's fears of every different kind. There are fears that are in your local family. There are fears in your community. There are fears in the global world. Fear by its nature is a stress. Stress by its nature releases stress hormones, which shut down the immune system, shut down the growth of the body to conserve energy, to run away from that proverbial tiger. And I go, so you want to change things? You have to change how you're perceiving the world. You have to stop in some cases and say, wait a minute, by listening to this, am I going to make any difference? Is it going to make any difference if I hear this? Am I going to make a difference in the world? No, they're just telling me stuff on the TV and I got to watch this and I got to go, oh, I can't do anything about this. I go, if you can't do anything about it, then why are you watching it? Because the simple reason is all it's going to do is scare you. And I go, yeah, what happens if you get scared? And I say, you're going to release stress hormones. Now, all of the problems that come down, 90% of cardiovascular disease, stress, 90%. Cancer, 90%. Stress, diabetes, type 2, 100% stress. These are the major issues we have to deal with. And guess what? They're not organic. Less than 1% of disease is connected to genetics. Less than 1%. And you're going, then where's all the disease coming from? Consciousness. And we beat ourselves up. Well, we struggle. We hit the wall. Why? Because whatever program, not good enough. You got that program as a kid? Then guess what? 95% of the day, like Bill, invisibly, your behavior will generate a response that is not good enough. And you won't see it. You won't see that you participated. All you see is, oh my God, I wasn't good enough. I go, yeah, because 95% of the day, your behavior that you weren't seeing, like Bill, was sabotaging us. And so the issue is we keep looking at the breakdown of the human system and blame it on the physical character of the cells, the genes, and all that. And I go, the massive breakdown of the human system is coming from consciousness. Genetics, 1%, less than 1%. And I say, so why is it relevant? I can't change my genes, but I sure as heck can change my consciousness. And if I change my consciousness, I say, yeah, well, what do you want to change? Then I say, look at your life. Wherever there's struggle and you're having to work real hard to manifest something, the question is, why are you working so hard? And then inevitably the answer comes back down to the fact that your program didn't support that conclusion and you're trying to override something that's operating 95% of the day invisible to you that you are generating. And you're looking at this life going, this is not what I want. And then you're going to try and take 5% and change it. And I go, mathematically, that's a tough thing to do. But you can do it, but there are better ways.
Bruce, a question, the difference between the subconscious and the unconscious mind.
It's not really different. Subconscious means below consciousness. Unconscious means you're not paying attention to it. And subconscious, by its definition, fits that bill right away because it's operating without you paying attention. Because if your conscious mind's busy, the subconscious mind's going to do what it does. And you're not going to see it. So the subconscious is unconscious, meaning it's a mechanism, but when it operates, it's not doing it through consciousness, it's doing it below, okay? And you don't observe it. Bill does not see 95% of the day. He's unconscious of his own subconscious.
Okay, we've had some questions about various therapies. What about timeline therapy? And then somebody else asked about Reiki, light healing, etc.
Yeah, as I said, there's a whole variety of what is referred to as energy psychology. And to recognize what's so important about energy psychology, it does not require pharmaceutical drugs. That's number one right there. It's a consciousness, and it's more powerful. That's why I said placebo. It's very interesting because I didn't bring it up, but let me bring it up right now. We talked about placebo. I said that, yeah, that's the conscious mind creating a healing from a sugar pill, okay? Everybody go, oh yeah, okay, placebo effect. Positive thinking about a sugar pill healed me. And I go, and here's the big crux of the problem. Well, positive thinking, placebo effect can heal you. No one emphasizes the fact that negative thinking, referred to in science as nocebo effect, can cause any disease and even death. You don't need a cancer gene to make cancer. In fact, less than 10% of cancer has any hereditary linkage. I go, where's it coming from? The conscious mind via epigenetics can take a healthy cell and turn it into a cancer cell just by a thought. I go, what? Is it a positive thought? I go, negative thought. I go, why is it relevant? The vast majority of our thoughts are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and negative thinking. And nobody emphasized the fact, stop thinking that negative stuff. Nobody said, you know, it's like, we have to take responsibility. And we have no responsibility because we gave it up to a story that's not true, the story of genetics. Oh, I am this way because it is a gene in my family that makes me this way. And I go, no, it's a program in your family that makes you that way. The difference is this, I cannot change the genes, but I sure as heck can change the program. That's where your positive efforts will come in. Change your life. As I said, look, I modeled relationship after my mother and father. No wonder for 40 years I didn't have a relationship. Behaving like them, they didn't have a relationship, but I downloaded it. And the point was what? I don't have to go out and beat up people. I had to just change consciousness. And now, you know, I got a chance to write a book called The Honeymoon Effect of what? A honeymoon, that beautiful heaven on earth, can be every day of your life. It's only your consciousness that is sabotaging that. If you've ever experienced the honeymoon effect, and an important point, I use the book, The Honeymoon Effect, talk about relationships and love and honeymoon. I just need to emphasize this. Does my love does it have to involve another person? I go, no. You could love a pet. Okay, that works as well too. Oh, you could love gardening. Okay, so yeah, if I get the freedom to go do my gardening, I'm living in my happy space. I go, yeah, that's the positive side. Oh, if you like cooking a meal, then cooking the meal is a positive, conscious experience. And I go, yeah, it doesn't have to be with another person. So the idea is finding something that you love so much that it keeps your attention focused because you love doing whatever it is. I'm here, I'm doing it. I go, that's when you are powerful, because in that time, you're not using a program.
Bruce, we're out of time.
No, we're not.
We can keep going. Are you happy to keep going?
I'll go a little bit longer, just because I got this beautiful green screen with my picture of New Zealand. So it's all set up. We got a few more minutes.
Few more minutes. Okay. Paul, do you have another question or another discussion subject?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, while we have Bruce, this is great stuff. I think people are really enjoying it. So I wanted to ask you, I mean, what's your life like? Tell us about you a little bit. Give us your top tips, what supplements you take, what routines you kind of do down there.
Okay.
I mean, tell us
Supplements
what
I
you
take.
got.
Let me tell you supplements because it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I just took my supplements. I want people to understand the supplements that I take are specifically enhancing my immune system because we don't get enough of that in our normal food. I say, what are the supplements I take? I want you to know these are great for strengthening your system. Number one, massive vitamin C. I take 2 grams, 2,000 milligrams every morning, vitamin C. Lipo C is a good version. That means lipid-oriented vitamin C, okay? I take, let's see, vitamin D, very important. I add supplements such as zinc and magnesium. And I say, okay, that's it. That's all my supplements. That's it. Those are designed specifically, I want my immune system working top form, especially with the strangeness of the world. Okay, so that's it. How about my life? Let me tell you about my life because I think there's an important insight to this. You ready? Your bank account, your money is an expression of your life. You got a lot of money, you got a good life. You got no money, you're scratching to survive. And I go, cool, everybody understands that. And I go, but you know what money is? It's energy. If you have money, you have energy. You can do something with it. Money is a form of energy. And so here's the most important thing I need to tell people. When we are involved with something consciously, we are using our energy, okay? And I go, so why is that relevant? I say, are you using your energy to your benefit or you're throwing away your energy? I go, what do you mean? I say, look, what if I gave you a checkbook? You had to invest your energy, you had to write a check. And I say, do you go down the street now with your bank account, with your real money and just give away checks? Oh, what a pretty smile. Here's $10 for you. Oh yeah, look, oh, what a nice pair of shoes. Here's $5 for you. You don't give away your money. Why? It's your life. And I go, energy is life. That's a fact. Energy is life. You got energy, you have life. No energy, you don't have life. Then all of a sudden I say, what if I gave you an energy checkbook where before you use that energy, you had to write it out? I go, you start to be more careful and you start to recognize this. Do not invest your energy into something you have no control over. That's the equivalent of, here's my energy, I got nothing. Here it is, you got it, I got nothing back. Start to recognize this. If you're going to invest your energy, then invest it in things that you have direct influence on, that you can influence, and that it also influences you. So I started to disconnect from the social things that we're, do this because this is the way we always do this. I go, it didn't give me anything back. Why would I give it energy if I didn't get anything back from it? And all of a sudden I started to realize, start cutting things that were, oh, well, we always do this. I go, why? Or people go into a pub and they're going to argue over politics. Just think about it. They get heated. That's using energy. The heat is actually wasted energy. But I say, yeah, they get into a heated discussion about politics. They used up all this energy. They even got hot from the energy that they were using. Then they leave the pub. Did anything change in the world? No. They just spent their energy. You might as well just throw away your money. Energy is life. Be careful. Consider any involvement of your life in regard to, if I put my energy in, is there some return? No return? Cut bait, baby. Get out of it. Save your energy. Why? Because you could use that energy for the positive, wonderful things that you want. But if you use it up in that argument in the bar and you didn't change the thing and then you come home tired, you lost all of that. So the rule I live by is invest your energy in things that make a difference for your life, but don't invest it in something that has no return, that you have no influence over. That's a real important fact. So I eat organic stuff. I eat natural food. I take those supplements that I mentioned. I don't spend my energy unless it has something of value that I can contribute or receive from it. And the most important thing is this: I live every day in love. I wake up every day. I'm still here. And you go, why are you still here? I mean, what's the relevance? And this is the part that personal Bruce Lipton science for me is, first of all, I'm not in here. So I'm playing through this virtual reality suit called Bruce. And I go, what can I do with that suit? And the answer, it's actually interesting. When the moment, the instant that I recognize from the cells that I'm a broadcast being picked up by these antennas, I said to myself, well, then why have a body? Why not just be the spirit? And 50 trillion cells in my body welled up with an answer. And then I found out they must be Jewish comedian cells. And I go, what do you mean? I said, I asked them a question. Why have both a body and a spirit? Why not just be a spirit? And the answer they came up with was a question. I asked why I have both, and they came up with this. Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? Think about that. That is deep. I go, what do you mean? I go, a spirit can identify chocolate, give you a definition right out of the dictionary. Chocolate is from cacao and blah, 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 blah. I said, what does chocolate taste like? Oh, spirit doesn't know how does chocolate, why? Chocolate taste is from a mechanism. Biology converts the chemistry of chocolate into vibration in the brain. The vibration is the experience of chocolate. And then I go, what? Well, it's in my head. And I go, no. You put wires on your head, I could read your brain function. It's called EEG. But there's a new device called MEG, magnetoencephalograph. I go, what does it do? It reads brain function. I go, and what's unique? The probe is out here. And you go, what? Wait, you're reading my brain from out here? Meaning your thoughts are not contained in your head. Your thoughts are broadcast into the field, energy. And I go, this goes back to quantum physics. It's an energy reality. Your thoughts are energy. You're broadcasting them all the time. And all of a sudden it says, so then be careful of what you're broadcasting, because that's what you're going to manifest. And so what did I do? First of all, I lost my fear. Why? I can't die. I'm not even in here. That was number one. But number two says, well, but why am I here? To create an experience. Ooh, is that not the place called heaven? Was I born into heaven? Yes, because this is where I came to create. This is where I come to experience. When I'm dead, I lose the suit. No more personal experience until I get another suit. And so the idea was what? We came here for a purpose. I go, what is it? Be in love, enjoy the beautiful planet we had, and be the creator of your life. And I go, quantum physics, life, the universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. And all of a sudden I go, oh my God, people think you die and you go to heaven. I go, geez, they wasted the entire, we came here. This is heaven. And you go and look, oh, but this is not my vision of heaven. I wouldn't create that. And I go, no, you didn't. Your subconscious created that. Your conscious mind, the one that has the vision of heaven, it's only 5%. But if you turn around, the honeymoon is what? Manifestation of heaven. And if you live that manifestation, then you've used your life to do what? Create joy, love, happiness, pleasure. That's why we were here. To save that and say, well, I'm going to hold on to everything, but when I die, I'm going to get it. I go, I don't think so. I think it was here. And this is where you came to create. What do you want? Conscious mind, wishes and desires. Unfortunately, subconscious mind program, 95%. Bad program. It sucks.
I think that's brilliant, Bruce. Absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of questions and comments and a lot of very positive, life-changing information. You rock, etc. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you for your incredible insights. I mean, a lot of wonderful compliments here. Just a very quick one. Do you recommend vitamin B12?
Look, I recommend supplements, knowing that that our food source is really void of most of the nutritional elements that we need if it comes from industrial farming. I also look at this, I show a lecture slide. I show a farmer wearing a yellow hazard suit in his farm spraying the plants. I go, what the, he's spraying the plants that I'm going to eat, but he has to wear a hazard suit to put that chemical on the plant? What the hell does that mean if I eat that food? And I go, that's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point.
Another quick one. Do masks work? Should we be wearing masks or not?
Well, here's the point. Now, again, this becomes very critical because some people are not going to like the answer, okay? If I am in any way altered by a comorbidity, obesity, diabetes, heart issue, things like that, I'm going to have to use everything at my command, anything I'm capable of doing to protect myself, because I have to recognize I am vulnerable. I have comorbidity. If I'm going to visit and I don't have comorbidity, but I want to visit somebody who does have comorbidity, then I would put on my face mask for them, not for me, for them. But if I'm out in the world doing other things and I'm not with them, then the face mask is an interference in my breathing. And especially people thinking that they can exercise with a face mask on. People have died from that. Why? Because it's restrictive of getting the fresh oxygen in when you put a mask on. You keep rebreathing a lot of the same stuff. And people who are doing exercises have died wearing a mask, because it's like that's blocking the oxygen that you need if you are exercising. Okay? So if I'm in a group of people who feel very much that they're safe and they're not concerned, I won't wear a mask around these people, and no social distancing. But if I'm around people who already have comorbidity, I will support them by wearing that mask for them. Okay. But they are the ones that have to recognize their personal responsibility to do everything they can to protect themselves. So just look at it. If you're obese, then we got to do something about it. If I got diabetes type 2, man, I got to do something about it, or whatever. Okay, that's personal responsibility. But the whole story is no personal responsibility. That's the story we were brought up with. Oh, genes did this. You had nothing to do with it. Oh, the immune system, don't worry about it. And I go, I have responsibility. I've been given this gift. This is a gift. It's not my spirit. It's a gift that enhances my spirituality. And if you use it right, you leave this planet going, that was great. That was wonderful. Where's my next adventure coming? And the idea is most people are leave because they're sick and ill and they have all these problems. And it's like, that is a crap way to end your life. The best way to end your life is going, hey, that was fabulous. Thanks. I'm out.
Bruce, thank you so much. Paul, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, before we go, I just want to say, when everybody wakes up in the morning and you pull back your curtains, you look out the window and you see heaven. And we heard it here tonight from Mr. Bruce Lipton. We are here. We have arrived. We are in heaven, Bruce. But
we have to get rid of that programming that says you're not, because that's a belief system. And Margaret, my love, added one more thing besides eating well, taking my vitamins and supplements. I exercise. I walk up a giant hill out here every day, get to the top, still breathing, go, but then recognizing I made it. And then the downhill part is a much better part of the ride after that. But exercise is important because the circulation system, and especially something called lymph. Lymph is the fluid that leaks out of the blood vessel that carries the nutrition and all that kind of stuff, but it also gets filled up with debris before it goes back to the blood. And it has to be filtered through what are called lymph nodes. Lymph does not move by a heart. There's no pump for lymph. Lymph moves by the contraction of your muscles in your arms and your legs, because they squeeze on the lymphatics like peristalsis. They push on it, which causes the fluid in the lymph to move. Lacking exercise means you're not circulating that lymph, and that lymph is the blood fluid that carries a lot of good stuff on the way out of the blood, but carries a lot of bad stuff on the way back to the blood. Broken cells, viruses, bacteria. It's going to clean it up, but to do that, exercise. So I want to thank Margaret, who just brought me that and said, "You forgot to say that." I go, "Yeah, exercise. Use this human body." Because a simple fact, and this might be a closing one, but it's a profound fact. Use it or lose it applies to every functional system in a human body, not just the muscles, every part, the brain. Dementia is now associated with lack of use of the brain. People lost their social connections. They end up having dementia because they're not using it anymore. Any of the systems that you have in your body, if you exercise them, they become strong. And if you don't use them, they'll disappear, because the body is intelligent. If I'm not using it, why am I maintaining it? And then it says, oh, well, then get rid of it. And so I just needed to bring that in, because people have to recognize, they just think, oh, exercise, muscles come, and then stop exercising, muscles go. I say, brain, muscles, digestive tract, immune system, every system we have is based on use it or lose it. And so go out there and use this wonderful thing in that beautiful world that Paul just said was outside the window right out there, because it is this opportunity, except for when you walk out, the first negative thoughts come in, you have lost your connection with that beautiful world. And they're programming that because Tony Benn, member of parliament in London, I use a quote of his out of a video, Sicko by Michael Moore. Perfect quote. Governments do not want a healthy, intelligent population because they are difficult to control. That's a quote right from him. And I have to say, wow, I'm old enough, over my mid 70s. I came from the United States that 70 years ago was intelligent, healthy, leading the world and everything. And now today, every from health to intelligence to technology, we are down near the bottom. I go, was that a coincidence? And I go, Tony Benn said, no, that was the intention. So let's change it.
Wow, that's a great note to end on, Bruce. Thank you so much. You are hugely inspirational, and lots of thank yous from all of us. Thank you so much.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you all. Paul, thank you. Jane, and all the wonderful people online. I'm so happy to be here with you.
Next time you're in Ireland, Bruce, we'll all buy you a pint.
No, just a half pint. Oh, you can't do that. Oh.